In a quiet house, Sarah, a 6-year-old girl, eagerly awaited her new sister. Her parents, Mark and Lisa, were excited to expand their family. Sarah dreamed of being a big sister, teaching her siblings games and sharing secrets. But when baby Emily arrived, things changed. Emily was different, needing constant attention and care due to her severe autism. Sarah's initial excitement slowly turned into a feeling of being forgotten. The first sign of this shift was subtle, then undeniable. Sarah's parents decided Emily needed to be closer to them, so Sarah was moved to the basement. The basement was a cold, eerie place. Nights there felt long and lonely. Sarah could hear her family upstairs, a constant reminder of how cut off she felt, like an afterthought rather than a cherished daughter. Then came the issue of her toys. Emily, unknowingly, would break them often. Sarah tried to explain her feelings to her parents, hoping for some understanding. But their response was always the same. She is younger, she does not understand. You are the big sister, you should be more understanding. This felt incredibly unfair. Her toys were her escape, and seeing them destroyed without anyone truly caring deepened her sense of invisibility. The turning point was a school MacBook. Sarah had earned it for her excellent academic performance. One day, she found it completely ruined. Her school was angry, blaming her for her carelessness. Her parents, instead of defending her, added to the blame. No one considered it might not have been her fault. Sarah was furious and hurt, but mostly, she felt alone in dealing with the mess. It was not just about a laptop, it was about feeling like no one supported her. Life became a constant balancing act between being a sister and having her own life. Sarah loved Emily, but her parents seemed to forget she was still a child herself. Any need Emily had meant Sarah had to drop everything. It did not matter if she was studying, with friends, or just trying to relax. She felt like she was on call all the time, without ever agreeing to it. She could not remember the last time she hung out with friends without constantly checking her phone, worried she would miss a call requiring her to rush home. Her life felt like it was on a continuous pause, always waiting for the next crisis or demand for help. One day, Sarah decided to go see a new superhero movie. It had been a long time since she had made plans purely for her own enjoyment. Her friend, David, had been talking about it for weeks, and his excitement was infectious. Sarah desperately needed a break, just a couple of hours to be a teenager, not a caretaker. So, she made a decision. Just this once, she would turn her phone off to truly enjoy the movie, free from worry. Walking out of the theater and turning her phone back on, Sarah felt a jolt. Missed calls and texts flooded her screen. She called home immediately, the joy from the movie quickly fading. When her mother answered, her anger was palpable. "Where have you been? We needed you an hour ago." Sarah could barely get a word in. She rushed home, feeling a mix of guilt and anger. Upon her arrival, the house felt like a storm. Her parents were furious, their disappointment a heavy presence in the room. "We rely on you, and you just decide to disappear to watch a movie." Her father's voice was sharp, punctuated by Emily's sounds in the background. It was as if going to a movie was a crime. Sarah tried to explain that she just wanted a break, a couple of hours to herself, but her words were ignored. "Your responsibilities here are more important than some movie," her mother added, her words final. They grounded her, calling her irresponsible, all because of a movie. Sitting in her room later, the realization hit Sarah. This was not just about the movie. It was about feeling trapped. She understood Emily needed her, but sometimes she just wanted to do something normal without feeling guilty or getting into trouble for it. Being 18 and feeling like she was not allowed to have her own life was tough. It was about feeling stuck in a role she never chose, longing for a piece of normalcy in a life that felt anything but normal. Sarah loved her sister deeply, but in that moment, she could not help but feel robbed of the simple teenage experiences of friendships and carefree moments. Living in her house felt like being trapped in a loop where everything revolved around Emily and her needs. Sarah understood Emily required a lot of care, and she wanted to be there for her. However, it often felt like she was just another item on the family's to-do list, Help your sister. Make sure she is okay. Cannot you see we are busy with her? It was exhausting, feeling more like an extra hand than an actual member of the family. This feeling of being a slave in her own home was suffocating. She carried a heavy burden, which made her question her own worth around the house. Then there was a week that offered a glimmer of hope. Sarah had been chosen to give a speech at a school event. This recognition ignited a spark within her. She worked tirelessly on the speech, pouring her thoughts and feelings into every word. When her parents said they would be there to watch, for the first time in a long time, Sarah felt valued. Finally, something was about her. She practiced every night, imagining seeing her parents in the crowd, perhaps even smiling proudly. The excitement was like a beacon, a rare light in the usual dimness of her daily life, making her believe that maybe this time, things would be different. But they were not. Her parents missed it because of something related to Emily. Standing there, about to begin her speech, and not seeing them crushed Sarah. She pushed through, her voice shaky and hands trembling. She cried, not just for the speech, but for all the times she felt sidelined. She made it through, and people clapped, but it felt hollow. The entire walk home, she could not stop the tears. It was not that she wanted to make a big deal about them missing the speech, but it just hit hard. It felt like a harsh reminder that no matter what happened to her, it would always be secondary. Walking home, all she could think about was how this pattern seemed endless. Discussions about colleges with her father were something Sarah had eagerly anticipated. It began normally, and Sarah felt genuinely excited. For once, it seemed they were focusing on her future, on something that was solely about her. She embraced the idea, thinking college might be her chance to escape and build her own life, away from the chaos at home. They looked at brochures and talked about majors and campuses. It was the closest Sarah had come to dreaming in a long time. Then her father made a joke. He suggested she pick a high-paying major so she would be set to take care of Emily when they were gone. He laughed, likely thinking it was a light-hearted comment. But it hit Sarah hard. All her suppressed feelings exploded. She lost control, crying and then yelling, telling him how unfair it was that her entire life was expected to revolve around being Emily's caretaker. Every bit of resentment, every moment of feeling overlooked and undervalued, spilled out. She tried to make him see how much she had given up, how everything always circled back to Emily's needs. But her parents did not understand. They just stood there, staring at her as if she were speaking a foreign language, watching her unravel. There was no comfort, no apologies, nothing. Their faces were cold and detached. It was as if they could not comprehend why she was so upset over a joke. That was when Sarah realized they were not going to listen to her. She ran to her room, slammed the door, and stayed there for hours. They did not bother to check on her. Not a knock, not a word, nothing. It was as if her outburst did not matter to them. Sitting there alone, knowing that even her immense distress was not enough to make them see her pain, was incredibly lonely. It felt like she was trapped in the role they had set for her, and her feelings about it were irrelevant. Sarah wondered if she was wrong for wanting more, for wanting to be seen as more than just a future caretaker for Emily. It felt like no matter what she did, her life did not matter. She felt like nothing to them, nothing more than insurance for Emily after they were gone. Hours turned into a day, then another, with no word from her parents. Something clicked within Sarah. She could not shake the feeling that something had to change. It was not just about getting away for a bit, it was about needing space to figure out her own life without constantly being pulled back into the same old situation. She thought of her grandfather, the one person who had always seemed to understand. Without a grand plan, she simply packed some essentials into a backpack one night and left. She texted him she was coming over, half expecting him to talk her out of it or call her parents. But he did not. He simply texted back, "Doors open." Staying with her grandfather, David, had been eye-opening. It was not filled with deep heart-to-heart conversations, but there was a profound calm. He let her be herself. They talked about college, about what she might want to do, and it was the first time in a while she had been able to think about her future without feeling guilty or stressed. He was supportive, encouraging her to think about what she wanted, not what she felt obligated to do. It was strange, but in just a week there, Sarah felt more like herself than she had in years. They had meals together, watched old movies, and he shared stories about his youth. It was nice, simple, and freeing. She even started researching colleges again, this time looking at programs she was genuinely interested in, not just those that might earn enough money to care for Emily in the future. Being with her grandfather gave her a glimpse of what her future could be, and it was something she wanted to hold on to. After a few hours of reflection, Sarah realized she did not despise her sister. It was not Emily's fault she was born the way she was. Her parents had come to talk to her a while after her breakdown, but Sarah could not bring herself to speak to them. She only cried and asked them to leave. They had made arrangements with her grandfather for her to stay with him for the time being. Her parents wanted to talk, but they all agreed it was best for Sarah to have some space and time to collect herself. They planned to sit down and talk later that week. Sarah began by telling her grandfather the story of her breakdown. When she finally spilled everything to him, his reaction was far more intense than she expected. She knew he would be surprised, but he looked utterly shocked, even horrified. She recounted how things had been at home, how she had essentially become Emily's full-time caregiver on top of everything else, and how it all culminated with her father's joke about college and lifelong care for Emily. Her grandfather was deeply upset, especially when he learned that Emily was supposed to be receiving professional help that she was not. He said many things, but the essence was that it was neither right nor safe for Sarah to be in that position, especially given Emily's condition. He could not believe her parents were placing all this responsibility on her and had kept so much from the rest of the family. He was also very angry about the movie incident, calling it the final straw that demonstrated how unfairly Sarah was being treated. Her grandfather, usually very calm, being this angry was significant. He told Sarah directly not to talk to her parents unless he was present, which was a relief. He said he would talk to them first, sort everything out, and be there with her for any future conversations. But it was not just her grandfather. Over the next few days, Sarah heard from aunts, uncles, and cousins. They were all checking in, making sure she was okay, and they were all as shocked as her grandfather. It turned out her parents had been telling everyone they had a professional caregiver for Emily and were even taking money from the family to pay for it, except that the caregiver never existed. Everyone was deeply upset about being lied to, especially about something so serious. This past week had been a roller coaster, tough, but also incredibly eye-opening in a good way. The drama with her parents and discovering all that hidden information was a lot to handle. But then there was an unexpected silver lining. Her extended family stepped up in ways she did not even know she needed. Her grandfather had been at the center of it all, trying to make up for what he kept calling lost time. He had been genuinely pushing Sarah to simply be a teenager again. It felt strange but wonderful, being encouraged to hang out with her friends more or just relax and do whatever she felt like, things she had not truly done in forever. It was as if he was on a mission to help her reclaim parts of her life she did not even realize she was missing out on. And it was not just him. Her aunts and uncles had been amazing too. They had been around a lot that week, checking in, bringing food, just talking, and actually listening. It was like they were making a massive effort to show they cared, to make sure Sarah did not feel alone in this whole mess. It was overwhelming, but in the best way possible. For the first time in what felt like ages, Sarah was not just the sister or the caretaker, she was just herself, and that felt incredibly good. The talk with her parents on Saturday night was a disaster. Sarah went in hoping, just maybe, they could start fixing things. Instead, it fell apart even more. They actually admitted to a lot of things, so messed up that Sarah could not even bring herself to describe them. The kicker was that not a single apology came out of their mouths. Instead, they doubled down, saying Sarah was pretty much born to be Emily's caretaker. Her father actually said that, as if her entire purpose was solely about taking care of Emily. Sarah could not hold back. All the information she had discovered, all the support she had been receiving from the rest of the family, it all just bubbled up. She confronted them about everything, the lies about the caretaker, the money they were supposedly spending on it, but were not, all of it. But they just dodged and made excuses. By the end of the talk, things were even worse than before. It felt like hitting a brick wall trying to get through to them. Sarah had gone into that conversation with a sliver of hope that they could mend things, but she walked out feeling like that chance was completely destroyed. After that disastrous conversation with her parents, Sarah made up her mind. She was done. She had a long chat with her grandfather and her uncle the previous night, and they all agreed it was best if she did not go back. Today was the day she was officially moving out to live with her grandfather. It felt strange, making such a huge change, but it also felt right, like she finally had some control over her life again. She also decided she would be leaving the state for college once she finished high school. Just the thought of starting fresh somewhere new was thrilling. Her aunt had been incredible through all this. She told Sarah she would start sending the money directly to her, the money she used to give to Sarah's father for Emily's care. It would now be Sarah's college fund. Her parents had called a couple of times since that night, but they did not call to apologize or say they missed her. They just wanted to know when she was planning to come back home. It was as if they were not even trying to understand why she had to leave. Sarah knew this was going to be a huge change, and honestly, she was scared. But at the same time, she felt a weight lifting off her. She was finally making decisions for herself, and there was something truly freeing about that. Today was just the start of something new. Deciding not to go back to her parents was tough. There was an uneasy feeling in her stomach, but deep down, Sarah believed it would fade with time. The support she had been receiving from the rest of her family had been incredible. It felt strange, but even though she had made this big decision, feeling all their love and support made the whole situation a bit easier to handle. But the harsh truth was, she had pretty much lost her parents through all this. That realization hit hard. It was a lot to process, and sometimes she caught herself wishing things could have been different. However, through all the mess, Sarah had come to see something truly important. She did not hate her sister. The anger she thought she felt towards Emily was misplaced. Emily was not to blame for how their parents chose to handle things. Sarah loved her more than she could say, and hating her for something she had no control over was wrong on so many levels. She hoped someday she could make that right. For now, though, leaving was what she needed to do for herself. It was about finding her own way, figuring out who she was outside of this whole situation. It was going to be a journey, but she was ready for it. Moving out felt surreal. Her grandfather and uncle were with her every step of the way, helping her pack her life into boxes and bags. They made sure to grab all the important documents, like her birth certificate and social security card. It felt oddly official, like she was collecting pieces of her old life to start a new one. Her parents were mostly silent throughout the process. Her father left with Emily not long after Sarah arrived, leaving just her mother to watch them pack. Her mother did not say much, just hovered in the background. It was awkward, tense even. But then, as they were about to leave, her mother finally broke down. She said she loved Sarah and that she would miss her. After days of silence, those words hit differently. Sarah hugged her mother, said goodbye. It was one of the hardest things she had ever done. Sitting in her new room at her grandfather's house, Sarah kept replaying that moment. Did her mother mean what she said? After everything, it was hard to know for sure. But Sarah wanted to believe she did. For now, all she could do was focus on what lay ahead. Perhaps with time, her parents and she could find a way back to each other.